I've done it most of my life. I have a brother who is developmentally disabled. So I've been doing this since I was a little girl, working closely with Special Olympics and at his school, helping out. So this has been a part of my life. This is what I know. So.
Well, it was a life changer for me when I first volunteered at Stepping Stones when I was 14. And I was a very terrible person. Very terrible person. And this population taught me a lot of things that just changed me at my core. You know what I mean?
I feel like if I can help anybody out, just even a little bit, even if it's, assisting them eat, that, they deserve that. So I take joy in helping people out, and yeah.
The importance to me is honestly being able to work with individuals who are so beautiful inside and out, and just having a small part and getting to build on who they are as individuals.
Well, to answer that question, I need to say that I've worked here at Stepping Stones since 2001. So I've worked here for a long time, so that should answer that question as to why I am here. I enjoy being here. I enjoy the people, the staff, and most especially the men and women that I've encountered through working in the adult program.
For me personally, working at Stepping Stones is extremely important because I used to come here as a participant. So just coming and being able to give back to the people that have helped me, and also show other people with disabilities that they can do whatever they want. And just to be that example for them is really important for me.
It means everything to me. This is probably the best job I have ever had in my entire life. It's rewarding. I have fun here every day, and I really just love what I do.
So working at Stepping Stones is pretty much my life. I started 5 years ago just as a seasonal staff, and as soon as a full-time position opened up when I graduated, I had to take it because I never want to leave. So it's just pretty much my life. I love waking up and coming to work. I think work is super fun. It's hard to leave without a smile on my face. Robbie, it's making me laugh. And I just think the importance of working with people with disabilities, I mean, they just have the most amazing talents, and meeting people who might have to do things a little differently but can still do some amazing artwork, or can build computers, or sing, or write books, or make movies. It's just pretty cool to see all of the talents that we have. And I think our community tends to label people with disabilities by their disability instead of figuring out kind of what their talents and abilities actually are.
Well, my mother called me a jerk one day and forced me to go volunteer at camp for one day. I had to go for one day, right? After that one day, I went every single day after that to volunteer that summer. So ever since then, I've been in this field.
It brings a warmth to my heart. It makes me happy to be here for everybody that needs my help. I have relatives in my family that has a disability, so I don't look at no one no different than her. So it's like I just grew to have a heart for it.
Okay, honestly, I needed a summer job, so that's the only reason. But it was the best summer job I've ever taken. I talked to my friend. She told me to work at Stepping Stones summer camp, and it was a hard summer, but it made me view things I've never viewed before. It was a lot of fun. It changed the way I saw people with disabilities, and it was probably the best decision of my life.
It makes me feel useful, and it makes me feel loved.
Working with people with disabilities has affected my life in a huge way. I started work for Stepping Stones in 2014 as a camp counselor at Camp Allen. And my mindset at the very beginning was, I can't do this. I'm going to need more help in this job than I can offer. And I found out through just being having perseverance that I can do anything else that any of the counselors can do. Maybe not as much, but at least I can go almost to their level. And then I can also connect with the participants on a more personal level because of the experiences that I've had and the experiences that they've had. So I think that working with Stepping Stones has affected my life in a huge way.
Well, like I said, I've been doing this since I was little, and I'm still doing it today. So this is well over 20-something years. I've only, so it's affected my life in a major way. Like I said, I can't see myself doing anything else.
I look at things in a different perspective. It helps me to appreciate life and appreciate the things that I do have and the way I'm living.
They always told me coming here that, you know, these individuals will teach you more than you'll teach them, and I thought that was more just like a slogan. But it really is relevant, though. I learn a lot more than I actually teach. It definitely changed my career choice. I originally was in school for business administration, and I decided to go for the medical route. It's the best job I've ever had.
Working with people with disabilities affects my life by increasing my sense of awareness and compassion for others.
I think the ADA helps provide successful environments for our friends here who have disabilities. And really it's for everyone, even though it says it's the ADA, really it's just making everything accessible to everyone. Whether that's education or public spaces or transportation and things like that, the ADA just really helps to make sure that everyone has equal opportunities and equal access to things that everybody deserves to have access to in the first place.
Oh, the ADA has helped immensely over the history of the country. Before the ADA, there was no laws that anything had to be a certain way. So if there was steps in a certain place, then it was, sorry, you can't get in. But after the ADA, everywhere has to be handicap accessible. Doors have to be a certain width wide. There has to be certain routes that people with disabilities can take. So it's just amazing that how much thought people have put into the ADA, and even things that you wouldn't even think of on a daily basis, the ADA covers.
So the American Disabilities Act, from what I understand, it pretty much makes it an even playing field for all people. People with disabilities are not judged by their looks or what they can and cannot do. They're judged by their character and who they are as a person, and whether that, if we're talking about employment, whether they can get the job done.
You know, the American Disabilities Act, like any other act that's been put forth, it's nice on paper. It's really challenging to have people who have made up that act and are behind that act and any other act to act on it and make sure it's being followed through, because I think in a lot of ways a lot of our acts and some of our laws are not being followed through with. And so the American Disabilities Act, even though it has brought people with disabilities so far ahead, there is a lot more to be done.
I think we have a lot of features, especially in this building in general, that help people with disabilities. We have accessible vans, we have ramps on our sidewalks, we have accessible equipment in our technology room, in the restrooms, we have iPads, so people can use them to communicate, to learn how to look up things on the internet and things like that. So I know specifically here we have a lot of that equipment. I do think we're somewhat lacking out in the community. Obviously we do have what we would call accessible parking spaces or elevators, things like that, but kind of what the community sees as accessible versus what is actually accessible, I think, is a little bit different for some of our friends here.
Well, that's a really good question, because in my apartment, you know, I live in an apartment building that is, quite a few of the apartments are especially made for people with disabilities. So like the counters are low, the cabinets are well enough low that I can reach it. There are equipments out there for people with disabilities, and I have several of these reachers, and you can reach things and grab things and bring them down to, if I can't reach it myself. So those are features like living in the home, shower chairs, whatnot. And then outside of here, like you said, there are ramps, corner ramps, ramps on buildings, push buttons on buildings, you know, the remote push buttons that opens and closes doors. So those are the everyday things that I think I see.
I think in some places, I think they are. But I think in some places they are not. And that's just a matter of educating the public.
I would love to say that I think out in our community that people are treated the way that they should be, but I still don't see that. I think one of the biggest ways, and I know when our volunteers come in, we talk about people first language, and that's just the change of mind. Instead of labeling someone with their disability, you mention their name before their disability, or you don't even have to mention their disability at all, and you can just say, hey, there is Robbie, the awesome documentary maker, or things like that. And it's just really focusing on someone's abilities rather than a label that they already have. So I think people first language is a really good start. And just, I think in the community, a lot of people tend to be shy and not want to stare, but feel free to go up and just socialize with people who are different than you. I think that's a huge step in towards getting everyone in the community to be engaged and involved in making a better community for our friends who do have disabilities.
I think I would be, as well as I think all of us would be remiss to say that, like the two of you sitting together, there's Alex, there's Robbie, and Alex has his own disabilities, you have your own disabilities. Alex happens to not have a visual, you obviously do, but the both of you, to me, I can come up to and just we all three can have a conversation. I don't treat either one of you differently. But yet, yes, there's a distinguishing difference, but that doesn't matter. In here, whether you talk or don't talk, hear, can't hear, you approach each person the same.